Deep inside the 100-acre woods there are many talking animals to be found. Most people even may know these animals by their specific name: Pooh, Eeyore, Piglet, Tigger, Owl, Rabbit, and even their human friend Christopher Robin. From the outside looking in on this community of animals, everything appears to be completely normal, but after careful evaluation there seems to be something a little bit strange. We all know and love the characters of the Winnie the Pooh series, but these characters aren't exactly as cute and cuddly as they seem. All the Winnie the Pooh characters actually represent multiple types of mental disorders. Pooh has a food addiction to honey. He is willing to do almost anything if the right amount of honey is offered. Many times Pooh can be seen going through Rabbit's house looking for pots of honey. Piglet has generalized anxiety disorder. He's just afraid of everything and is constantly jittery. Just as things are about to take a turn for the worst, Piglet gets nervous and just wants to hide. Every time Piglet gets scared, he gets a nervous stutter and can barely finish what he's trying to say. Eeyore is just always depressed. The poor donkey just never seems to be happy. He can be seen moseying around all day and always seems down in the dumps. He constantly has to worry about if his tail is going to fall off or if his house made of sticks is going to be knocked down. It's pretty obvious that Tigger has ADHD. The main signs behind ADHD is inattentiveness, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. Tigger just can't stay still. Much of the time, if another character is talking to him, he'll pay attention for a few seconds and then start talking about what he really wants to talk about. He is very impulsive and is willing to try anything that crosses his path. Owl is very prideful, and he prides himself in being smart, but sometimes the information he gives just isn't quite correct. The problem that comes from this is having dyslexia. Owl doesn't realize it, but the information he reads gets jumbled up while he's reading it. Along with dyslexia, Owl is very, very prideful, which leads to him being a narcissist. He believes that what he has to say is always more important than what everyone else is saying, and that everyone else is just full of fluff. Rabbit suffers from OCD. He can always be seen organizing his belongings, or else he'll be on the verge of having a panic attack. He must have everything clean and in order. It may seem the only normal character in this series is Christopher Robin, but even he has a secret to be told. Christopher Robin is just a young boy without any other children and friends that are his age. In order to feel less alone, he creates these multiple personalities, which he then expresses through his stuffed animals. In the beginning of the book, it clearly says that all the animals are just toys, but Christopher Robin believes and fantasizes that his toys are real. Many people may say, "Oh, that's just a ridiculous assumption." However, the Canadian Medical Association of International Bipolar Foundation psychologists agree with this hypothesis. In 2000, Canadian psychologists published a 3-page research paper on the unknown story of the characters of the 100-Acre Woods. The paper goes through each character and analyzes them from the point of a psychologist. They then make a chart with each character's name and diagnose them under the different accesses. The reason that A.A. Milne, the writer and creator of Winnie the Pooh, had such a good understanding of all his characters' mental disorders was because he had a mental problem himself. As a young boy, Milne was sent to Westminster School. While there, he would often parade around completely nude while shouting, "Does anybody want a piece of this?" Because of these often occurrences, he was diagnosed with the sociopathic tendencies and a leaning towards sexual delinquency. Later on in his life, after the birth of his son Christopher Robin, Milne became a reformed alcoholic who tried to help other alcoholics become better too. It was said that each one of his characters in the Winnie the Pooh series represents one of Milne's patients, but in toy form. Pooh is represented by Winston, who befriended Christopher Robin even though he was 65 years his senior. Winston's diet was to just eat large amounts of molasses in a short amount of time, just like how Pooh eats a lot of honey in a single sitting. Donaghy represents Eeyore. Donaghy was a general that became very depressed because he believed he had lost his body parts. If you actually looked at Donaghy, he hadn't lost any body parts, he just imagined he did. So that is where Eeyore feels like he is missing his tail all the time. Tim Bacon is portrayed by Piglet. After Bacon quit his job, he had a nervous breakdown and became very fearful of leaving his house. Tigger was created after Todd Lyons, who suffered from an extreme ADHD. Because the Lyons was so outgoing, just like Tigger, he would unintentionally hurt his friends by his enthusiastic, bouncing personality. Finally, Owl represents Dean Pincher. Dean had an IQ of 7, which made him incredibly dull, but Dean believed that he was very smart, just like Owl thought he was brilliant and thought everyone else was full of fluff. I have now informed you of the hidden problems in the Winnie the Pooh characters. It just goes to show that many stories can have more than one meaning. The darkness behind the characters shows that A.A. Milne had very good insight on the mental disorders due to his own and his patients' disorders. Sadly, the forest that seems so warm and inviting isn't all that it's cracked up to be. All of the characters in the 100-Acre Woods, even though they turned out to be a very dysfunctional family, they did all care and love for each other.